So I might have rushed to my conclusions about the Bulls. I should not have rushed about my conclusions about the Bulls. But, so is life. Etsi ine zoi, so they say. I've already said that the take was bad, so I'm not here to tell you again how bad my take was. Folks, you can be excited about your Bulls team. But, here's the thing. Not only was I skeptical, the whole world was skeptical about this fit. There's a reason that the world and all of media was wrong and was very, we'll call it pessimistic about this Bulls team. It was all about the fit between DeMar DeRozan and Zach Lavine. There might be no greater collective wrong opinion as this one. Like dozens of articles coming out about how bad this fit would be. Not only how washed DeMar DeRozan was, how overpaid he was. I mean, there's just so many things. I was wondering, was he going to be his floor spacer? How would he and Zach Lavine function together when Zach needs the ball in his hands like 40% of the time? Like, so does DeMar DeRozan. Like, that's 80% of the time. Where's the ball going to go? They both need the ball about the same amount. Most people thought DeMar was going to be like a 10-minute a night guy. Wow, what a wrong take that was. Terrible. I mean, people were sus, very sus about DeMar's signing, not just because of his contract, which almost everyone thought was absurd, but really about how he and Zach would be able to be on the floor at the same time. Zach and DeMar, how, Sway? How? Here's what John Hollinger said at The Athletic right after the trade. DeRozan turns 32 this week. He doesn't shoot threes, and he's a subpar defender. Board money valued him at $16.2 million for this year, with that figure obviously declining in the out years as he gets further into his 30s. Even a rosy outlook would have his value over a 3-year deal topping out about $40 million. There's a chance that this could be one of the worst value contracts in the league. It appears Chicago paid DeRozan roughly twice his projected value over the next 3 years. The Bulls used their chips, and they're all in. Oh, by the way, he also said Caruso's contract would be about a break even. Here's what some other people said. DeRozan, 32-year-old, poor fit with his new club and limited in worrisome ways for someone aging past. I mean, these are so bad. For someone aging past his prime. He has never been a great or even good defender. Shade. And that deficiency will not get better with time. His growth as a playmaker will not be easily utilized in Chicago as Lavine, Vooch, and Lonzo all need significant touches. Moving DeRozan off the ball only highlights his limited shooting range and shrinks the floor. Here's another one. Those are just the issues of fit. The costs are what makes this the worst of the worst. Yikes. I mean, we were so wrong. It was so bad that DeMar DeRozan had to address these things in the media at a press conference like he was pissed. He was hurt. I mean, the amount of shade, dozens of these articles being like, he's trash. He's worth nothing. Why would you sign him? I mean, this is what he said. It's basketball. I see a lot of people criticizing, talking about fit this, fit that. These people probably have never played even basketball. Being a basketball player, you go out, you play at the park. Some of your best is against guys you don't even know that you go out there and compete with. But for me, if everybody's on the same page mentally and wants to win, it doesn't matter about a fit. Yeah, I think that's right. The thing that people overlooked is that DeMar DeRozan is unselfish. DeMar DeRozan lives and breathes this. He wants this to work. It didn't work in Toronto from a championship standpoint. He's a baller. And so is Zach Lavine. And we overlooked that if two guys who are willing to be unselfish play together, things could be good. And he pushed hard for DeMar to sign in Chicago. So, of course, now we know, though, it's 20-something games into the season, and now we know exactly how Zach Lavine and DeMar DeRozan fit. They are like peas and carrots. They are like fucking ham and cheese. They're like eggs and toast. They have both, check this stat out. This is a crazy stat. They have both scored 25 points or more in the same game 11 times this year. 11 times already this year. The last duo, if you're wondering how rare this is, the last pair to record 11 at least of these games through the first 24 games of a season, Kobe and Shaq in 2001, 2002. Kobe and Shaq were the last duo to be able to do this. And there's a reason why the Bulls just beat the Nets, the Hornets, and the Knicks in the last week alone. So maybe we were all rushing to conclusions. Maybe we should have asked DeMar and Zach before even a game was played about how this whole thing was going to work. Because DeMar was wondering how it also was going to work when he was evaluating his options in terms of who he was going to play for. He asked Zach about it, and he said it was a commitment that we talked about long before we even played on a court, just having each other's back on being there for one another. That's all I needed to hear. That's all he needed to hear from me. As long as we could walk, we're going to be out there to try to lead this team to be as successful as we can. That quote is meaningful. But the interesting thing is it's not just DeMar wondering how he's going to fit and committing to fitting with Zach. Zach also, the late game bucket for the Bulls, basically being the go-to scorer in all of Bulls games for as long as he's been there, is now deferring to, DeMar DeRozan when the game gets close and the moments get tight and the pressure builds. This is what he said. Obviously, DeMar has been in these big-time games and situations. I don't think a lot rattles him at all. That's when you let him take over the game, calm it down, get to the free throw line, get to his spots. I think it just gives the whole team like a deep breath. We're okay. DeMar DeRozan, the voice of calm. Yeah, I'd say he's pretty fucking good in crunch time. Let's figure out how good he is. He's actually leading the NBA in fourth quarter scoring at 165 points. DeMar DeRozan, the guy who we all thought was going to be in a limited role, making maybe like 10 minutes a game off the bench, poor fit, is literally leading the league in crunch time scoring at 165 points. And if you think that that's reducing Zach Lavine to a lesser role in crunch time, Zach Lavine ranks third with 142 fourth quarter scores of his own. This is what he goes on to say. DeMar just makes everything so much easier. There's not pressure on you. I can have the ball. Oh, I have a bailout anytime, and I think vice versa. I'll do that quote again. It just makes everything so much easier. There's not all the pressure on you. I have a bailout at any time, and I think vice versa. Two ball-dominant players who can actually function together on the same court because they're unselfish and they play in a way that complements one another. It's almost like Russell Westbrook and LeBron James should have learned this little trick. Even head coach Billy Donovan made an interesting point about how DeMar is influencing the rest of this team because of his calm demeanor. He said, his passing ability down the stretch, his mindset to make the right play, his presence, his seeming inability to be rattled is a boon for the Bulls. I tell you what, boy, could there be anything we were more wrong about in terms of the offseason? Everyone in the world was like, this is trash, and actually this is very excellent. If there is one little element that you could be concerned about with the Bulls, is that this team relies on its starting fives more than anyone in the NBA. And because of that, everybody's usage is way up, and they're all getting more minutes than they have in the past few years. Let's talk about it. Caruso, 29 minutes, up from 21. DeRozan, 35 minutes a game, up from 33. Lonzo Ball, 35 minutes, up from 31. Lavine, same, 35 minutes. Vooch, 33, up from 32. Not super meaningful, but in the beginning, Caruso, DeRozan, Lonzo. I mean, this is a very short rotation. I mean, Brittany Renner could run through these guys, and then have 3 more to spare. 2 more to spare. Vooch has missed 7 games so far. Caruso has been banged up. Patrick Williams is banged up. He's out for many weeks. Lavine, this is the part that's, I think, if you're a Bulls fan and you want to be optimistic, Zach Lavine has normally missed about 20% of the season every single year. He's missed none of the season this year. He has missed not one game. He has been sicky with a non-COVID-related illness, and whereas he would in the past probably say, you know what, I think I'm going to take my stomach flu ass home, he's playing those games because him and DeMar are, like they said, if I'm still standing, we're going to be able to play. If I'm still standing, doesn't matter if I'm throwing up on the sidelines, we're going to play. That duo, that winning is meaningful. Lavine said this about that game when he played through Monday's victory over the Hornets and downplayed his recent ditching of the brace. You know, I'm fighting through stuff. These games are important, and it means a lot to me. Woo! So, all of that to be said, 1, we were wrong. 2, this team is really, really good when they're healthy. Here's a little thing to know, though. The NBA is 82 games a year, and all that matters is how they perform in the playoffs. Are they going to be healthy? Or will they be banged up? Maybe they'll be a banged up 3 seed, ripe for an upset for a hungry Hornets team that's coming for them. That all remains to be seen, but what we do know is that, oh boy, were we wrong. And this team does have enough playmaking, enough shooting, enough defense, and DeMar DeRozan's a fucking bucket who can come through in clutch time. I actually really hope that they stay healthy. Everybody's like, oh, Trysta, you hate on the Bulls. Like, take this 3rd seed. And no, I'm happy I'm wrong. I want the Bulls to be good. I will be watching the Bulls a lot. I will be betting on the Bulls a lot with a skeptical eye and a hopeful eye to see how sustainable this is across an entire 82-game season and potentially a 28-game playoff run. That's all the time that we have for the Heat Check. We'll be back early, squirrely, Wednesday morning with a full deconstruction that is the clusterfuck of the Portland Trail Blazers and what that means for my favorite team going forward. Hint, it's not great. Do not forget to follow us on social at This Heat Check and at Trysta Krick on TikTok.